I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. As long as poverty, injustice and gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy, then he becomes your partner. Our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discrimination. Without education, your children can never really meet the challenges they will face, so it's very important to give children education and explain that they should play a role for their country. I cannot conceive of Israel withdrawing if Arab states do not recognize Israel within secure borders. When I came to Johannesburg from the countryside, I knew nobody, but many strangers were very kind to me. I then was dragged into politics, and then, subsequently, I became a lawyer. Sabotage did not involve loss of life, and it offered the best hope for future race relations. Bitterness would be kept to a minimum and, if the policy bore fruit, democratic government could become a reality. I would wear the blue overalls of the field worker and often wore round, rimless glasses known as Maserati glasses. I had a car, and I wore a chauffeur's cap with my overalls. The pose of chauffeur was convenient because I could travel under the pretext of driving my master's car. I came across few whites as a boy at New. The local magistrate, of course, was white, as was the nearest shopkeeper. Occasionally, white travelers or policemen passed through our area. These whites appeared as grand as gods to me, and I was aware that they were to be treated with a mixture of fear and respect. The education I received was a British education, in which British ideas, British culture, British institutions, were automatically assumed to be superior. There was no such thing as African culture. If the United States of America or Britain is having elections, they don't ask for observers from Africa or from Asia, but when we have elections, they want observers.